right. Well, welcome to First in Faloney. This is going to be a new episode for us. Normally, we're just a college football podcast, but today we are going to do something special with the NFL draft. As you can see, I am your co-host, Donovan Faloney, and my normal co-host, or I am the host, excuse me. My normal co-host is not here with us today because he's not really a big NFL fan, so I brought in two NFL experts. We have Kyle and Randall here on the call with us. How you doing, guys?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Doing all right. So what we're gonna kind of do, and what we're gonna do is just do a mock draft, and we're gonna do mock draft with trades. We're going to discuss each pick, and kind of just go from there, critique each other's, all in good fun. However it is here. So before we get started here, we'll go ahead and just say our fans so we know we're a little bit biased. I'm a Steelers fan by heart. I know, Kyle, you're what are they calling themselves now these days?
Commanders.
Commanders fan. And then Randall, my man, is a bandwagon Patriots fan. No, I'm just kidding. He's just a regular Boston sports fan. So Patriots, correct?
That is correct.
Awesome. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. Who wants to kick it off? With the first overall pick, the Carolina Panthers are on the clock.
I have the Panthers taking Bryce Young. I think he's probably the more NFL-ready quarterback of this draft, but I feel you could argue Stroud or Young is going to be one of the first pick taken.
Yeah, I agree. I got Young as well. I compare him sort of to like Jalen Hurts. He's a little bit smaller than Jalen, but if he can put on the 20, 30 pounds, he's another Jalen Hurts. So
yeah, I think we're all in the same boat here. I did have CJ Stroud in my original. I'm a big CJ Stroud fan. I think he's the most NFL ready. It's like 1A, 1B for him and Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young's talent's a little bit better. I attribute him to a more improved Russell Wilson, more so than Jalen Hurts. But that is a fair comparison as well. I don't think you trade up that not take one of those two.
Absolutely, yeah.
You need a winner now, and I think that honestly, I think that wins Carolina the division. I don't see anybody else in that division winning it. So we're all in agreement there. So we'll just go ahead and move on to the second pick. Second pick, the Texans are on the clock, and I have a hot take on this one, boys.
Oh
and
boy.
I will go last on this to get your guys' initial reactions, but I think I know where both of you guys are going to go here.
Yeah, I got Stroud here, and if your pick is what I think it is, what everyone else is moving to, it's a hot take.
Kyle,
I got Stroud going into.
You guys are so chalk here. So what I've been seeing and what I've listened to over the last week over the podcast is Texans don't need a quarterback right now. They got a brand new hot coach. They have time to develop. DeMeco Ryans just came from San Francisco. What did San Francisco build on to build their team? They took Nick Bosa in the draft to start it off. So I'm going with edge rusher Will Anderson here. I think get that staple on your defense. He's the most NFL-ready edge rusher. He might not bring you the highest upside like a Nolan Smith or a Lucas Van Ness, but he will provide you with a solid 10 to 15 sacks a year for 10 years. So I'm not going quarterback here, but I am gonna go with the edge rusher here and let the quarterbacks fall where they may.
I guess my only question with this is if there's going to be a need at number 2 for a quarterback. So if you're the Texans, would you not just trade down? There's still you wouldn't.
Unless the offer is massive, I wouldn't trade down because you want to solidify your defense. You could trade down and get a Jalen Carter or a Tyree Wilson, but I think DeMeco Ryans, being the defensive-minded guy that he is, the defensive guru, he wants a solidified edge rusher. But I could see them trading down as well with this pick. To who?
Yeah,
The Colts, to the Raiders, to the Titans. So
right.
That's my opinion on it. But what do I know? And to kind of sway those two things, I think CJ Stroud is going to be a stud. I don't know if he's a day one starter like Bryce Young is. but Will Anderson is the day one starter, and that's my reason why they still are. Dougie Mills is still there. I still think he's a capable quarterback if he gets some protection. We'll see. But all right, well, we'll go ahead to the third pick. The Cardinals are on the draft, and guys, feel free to make some trades too if you haven't. My trades are coming up, and actually, I'm going to go ahead and make a trade right now. I say the Colts then move up to number 3. They trade with the Arizona Cardinals, and I have the Colts taking C.J. Stroud.
Okay. I have the Cardinals staying where they are and taking Will Anderson just because, they have Murray, who they feel is the future. So they're going to solidify their defense for kind of the same way that we were speaking on before.
Yeah, I got Anderson here as well. I think if they're going defense, and I just think you take the best player available, you don't really look at needs. I would say they have a bigger need interior defensive line, but you don't pass up on Anderson. He's I believe the best player in this class.
Hot take.
Yeah.
I think that is a hot take. Because I don't think he is the best player in this draft. I think he's top 3, but I don't see he's best player. But you're right. He is that prolific edge rusher.
Yeah.
And what you either have to get to the quarterback or you have to defend him on the back end. And we know Arizona did not do that last year.
Absolutely.
All right. So first trade was mine, boys. I definitely did not see that coming here. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to number 4 pick. The Colts are on the clock for you two. I have the Cardinals, and I'll go ahead and go again. I have the Cardinals taking Tyree Wilson. Same reasons that you guys just mentioned above, right? They need that pass rusher.
All right. So I have the Colts selecting a quarterback. I'm taking Richardson. I feel he has more upside than Levis, and I'm going to actually have Levis dropping further than probably a lot of people will.
I don't think that's a hot take. I think Anderson is better than Levis, but I know Randall does not like Anderson.
Oh, okay.
I don't like Richardson.
Or Richardson, not Anderson.
Yeah.
Sorry.
he listens to the show that I normally do. I despise Anthony Richardson. I think he has upside, but I don't think you waste a first round pick on upside. We've seen with what the Titans did last year, where they ended up getting Malik Willis, who was projected at one point to be the first pick last year, and he fell. I think the league is moving towards certified, solidified quarterbacks. With that being said, I'm not sold on Levis either. I have the Colts going Levis, but he gives me extreme Josh Rosen energy. He can be a really elite quarterback in a few years, or he'll be not in the league. It just depends on the system he goes into. And Shane Steichen's a great head coach that the Colts just got, and he helped develop Jalen Hurts, and I think he can do the same with Levis. I think this is just a better fit.
So 2 things on that, and I agree with you. You don't pick a quarterback on upside. And Anthony Richardson, in my view, is a more athletic Michael Vick, and he has a stronger arm than Michael Vick, and that's a lot to say because Michael Vick had a cannon.
Yeah.
He just wasn't accurate. But I will to defend Anthony Richardson because I do like him a lot, actually. Florida had the most drop passes in the NCAA last year. So if you take that into account, I understand he didn't have a touchdown for quite a few games, but he also didn't really have receivers. He was throwing to 3 white guys as their receivers most of the year. And, they're not, Wes Welkers out there. They're just not.
Yeah.
So, and Will Levis cannot win in the big game. And that's the reason why I don't like it. He might have a cannon. He might look good. And he puts mayonnaise in his coffee. Like, no.
And he eats, I don't know if y'all know this, he eats bananas with the peel on. That's gross.
Yeah. Kyle, what are your thoughts on Will Levis, him taking Will Levis with the Colts? Because that's what a lot of people seem to be taking if CJ Stroud goes too.
I think the Colts are going to take a quarterback. It'll be one of the 2 who they find fits their system better.
Yeah. And Steichen just came from Jalen Hurts.
Right.
So I would say Richardson fits that a little bit better than Levis, but I like Steichen a lot, so I don't know. I think he can handle either one.
Mhm.
So, all right, well, let's go ahead down to the fifth pick. All right, so fifth pick, Seahawks are on the clock here.
I guess I'll go. I got Jalen Carter here. I don't care about the off field issues; those will settle themselves. Pete Carroll is a very strict coach. He likes to have think. Jalen Carter does need to go to somewhere that has a system that'll keep him in check, though. And the Seahawks desperately need defensive help. And yeah, Jalen Carter's the guy for me.
Kyle, what you got?
I got Tyree Wilson. I do have Jalen Carter falling a little bit more just because of the off-field issues, but Pete Carroll is very strict. He's known to be strict, so I could see Pete Carroll definitely straighten him out and making him beneficial to the team.
I don't think either one of those picks are bad picks. I think both of those guys could go right here at 5. I like Jalen Carter. He's not falling past the Titans, or he's not falling past. He's not falling past the Eagles. Like he's not.
Yeah.
He's not. Could you imagine Jalen Carter and Davis, those two in the middle for the next 10 years? That's scary. I know Kyle doesn't want to imagine that with his Commanders, but like that's pretty scary. So I like both of those picks. I think Tyree Wilson has huge upside. Kind of came out of nowhere in this draft. I'm going a little bit different than you guys as well. I'm going Anthony Richardson, quarterback out of Florida. He has a good bond with Pete Carroll. Geno Smith is the perfect person for him to sit behind for a year or two. And basically Geno's contract, I know it's a 3-year deal, but it's basically a 1-year deal with 2 voided years. So if they feel that he can start right away, he's going to do it. And I don't think Geno, he's late in his career. I don't think he would really care. And if Geno doesn't play like he did last year, why can't we see Anthony Richardson in there, get some game reps as well? But I think all 3 of those picks, I can see the Seahawks taking any one of those 3s. All right. Oh, good.
Just a quick question: with the Seahawks having picked 20, would you? Like my brother has the Seahawks getting them, but at pick 20, you don't think
He's
he
not
makes it
getting
that
past
far?
the Titans. He's not getting past the Titans. The Titans will take him at 11 because they're not sold on Malik Willis.
Mhm.
And could you imagine the Titans with Anthony Richardson and Derrick Henry running the speed option? Like no, I don't want to see that. So I really hope the Seahawks take him at this point. But that's a good point. He could fall to 20. We don't know. And that's why draft day is great.
Yeah,
Watch all of our drafts be completely off. And Will Levis is going number 1. Okay, so we got the Lions on the clock here. Lions with the 6th pick. I'll go ahead and knock this one out. I have Jalen Carter, one behind you, Randall. I have Jalen Carter. I think he fits Dan Campbell's mold of biting kneecaps off. He might not look like on his pro days, but if you watch him actually in the game, he is a disruptor. And I love Jalen Carter. I was really hoping he'd fall to the Steelers, but he's not going to. Dan Campbell will take him in a heartbeat.
You're going to give the Lions Hutchinson and now Jalen Carter. That's a dangerous defensive line.
That's a very good line with Rodrigo in the middle at middle linebacker too. That's building that defense from the bottom out.
I have them going defense as well. I think they have a desperate need at corner though. I can't think. Okuda is in his last year of his rookie deal. I don't think they'll extend him. And I think he's already asked for a trade, didn't he?
With Atlanta. He got traded to
That's
Atlanta.
right. He was traded. That's right.
Yep.
I know they brought in 2 guys on 1-year deals. I know their safeties. Gardner Johnson's on a 1-year deal. They need some help at this at the secondary. I have them going Devon Witherspoon out of Illinois. Him or Gonzalez are 1A, 1B in this position. There's a lot of good corners in this draft. So I could see him going corner here.
I like that pick.
That's actually my same pick for the same exact reasons. With Okuda been leaving, they're going to need a number 1 corner. So.
Yeah, I agree. And Cam Sutton is their number 1 right now, and he was on the Steelers last year. Yeah, he's good, but he's not worth the money they're paying him. He's just not. So that's a good pick. It's one of those philosophies. Where do you think they are going to do it? Are they going to go the old Pittsburgh Steelers route, build the front 7 and hope that we find somebody in late rounds in the back end? Or are they going to go the Legion of Boom, where they get the back end settled and hope they figure out some good pass rushers in the late round. Good points to that. I think Witherspoon is a solid shot here, or Gonzalez as well. Okay, cool. You guys are pretty close to each other on most of your picks so far, but we'll go ahead number 7 to the Raiders. Who do you guys got? I might have a controversial pick here.
Oh, so I'll go here. I got Peter Skoronski. A lot of people think they're going quarterback here. I don't. I think Garoppolo will be fine. They need protection, severe protection on. And then they got Josh Jacobs. I think he got tagged. And so if you can help that run game out, you won't need Garoppolo to throw the ball for 5,000 yards. And I still think the Raiders are going to be in play for Aaron Rodgers. That's just a personal thing. The longer the Packers and the Jets hold out, he wants to go out west. And I still think that might be a potential thing that happens.
Interesting. I don't think it's going to be them, but it's a good take, and I think you're right. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is solid enough, at least for another year or two. And look at the quarterbacks coming out next year as well. Hendon Hooker's good, McKee's good. You can get those guys late first or the second, third, Hafner even. Kyle, who you got?
I got Paris Johnson Jr., another lineman for the same thing. I think Garoppolo can hold it out if they give him some protection to distribute the ball. They got a good team. They got Adams. So
I am going to go with Peter Skoronski as well, but for different reasons. I don't think he's a tackle. I think he's a guard, and I think if you look at all the Patriots teams, they build from the inside out with their offensive lines, get that run game going by committee. Josh Jacobs is their lead back, and can't think of his name. McDaniels, anyways, coming from the Patriot system. I think they move him to guard, and I think he fits perfectly with that fit. Paris Johnson, solid tackle, and I don't blame that pick at all. They need offensive help, especially in that division when you have the Chiefs who rush the pass well. You have the Chargers who have Mack and Bosa. Like, that's insane. And then you have Denver. They got rid of Bradley Chubb, but they also just hired Sean Payton, who's going to let the defensive coordinator coach the way he wants to coach. So there's going to be blitzes coming for sure. Good picks, guys. Good picks. I like those as well. Still no trades from you two, which is interesting. Next, we got the Atlanta Falcons, and I'll go ahead and go here. Atlanta. What do we think about Atlanta? Atlanta's fast. Atlanta wants to play fast, right? Who's the fastest player still left on the board? Nolan Smith, edge rusher out of Georgia, 4.39 defensive end, highest upside. I mean, I love Nolan Smith. I would love for him to be on the other side of TJ Watt and let Highsmith get a break, but he's not going to be. Nolan Smith is my pick for the Falcons. They have a bunch of needs, so any pick pretty much will be good here.
So I got them taking the Texans running back, Robinson. Simply, they went in the 2 years ago, they got Kyle Pitts, and then they went and got Drake London. They're going to add another skill position for Ryder or Heineke, whoever's going to be their quarterback, to help them distribute the ball. And
what about their current running back? What's his name? Patterson.
He's getting a little older. I think
fair.
Robinson is going to bring more electricity to the offense with the help of Kyle Pitts and Drake London, previous number 1 round picks, terrific at their position. I think he just helps them offensively, ground and pound, move the sticks.
No, that's a fair assessment. And this is my opinion, the best player in the NFL draft. If you're going to pick Bijan Robinson, he's a running back. We all have our opinions. We know how they're going on there now. He's the most all-around back. I love Bijan Robinson. Randall and I were talking about him today. We have a little differing opinions on his play style, but he's still a stud. Like, he's still a good running back here. So good. I like that pick, actually.
Yeah, I like it. I don't think it's worth, unless you have an actual need at running back, to take one in the first round, especially in this class when you have Mo Ibrahim, who's going to go 7th round. It's a deep running back class. And the league's becoming more of a running back by committee league anyway. And And so I think it's a good pick. I got Tyree Wilson here. Probably should have gone in the top 5. He's a stud.
Mhm.
I just think there's a higher need for the Falcons at edge rush. Grady Jarrett can't do everything on that defense.
And
And
how old is he now? Like,
right. And I was battling between him and Miles Murphy for this pick, but I think Murphy's not a top 10 guy yet. But Tyree Wilson, I think, is my pick.
so I can see both of those picks. Honestly, Atlanta needs everything. Patterson is getting older. I think if you do running back by committee, like you just said, that takes a lot of pressure off the young quarterbacks, young receivers, slows the game down for the Falcons, who actually had a scrappy defense last year for the most part. I can see that, and I can definitely see the edge rusher, obviously, because I picked Nolan Smith. So, so I can see both of those picks there. All right, next we got the Bears with number 9. The Bears need quite a bit too. They need offensive line. They need uh, tackle, center, defensive line, cornerbacks. I have them going cornerback here. I have them going Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon. Now, Oregon was one of the worst pass defenses in NCAA last year. So it does concern me. It does seem like a very Chicago pick here by picking Christian Gonzalez. I would have had them picking Peter Skronsky if he would have dropped, or Devin Witherspoon if they would have dropped. But I'm picking Christian Gonzalez here.
So I am picking Swansea here as he's available for them. Offensive line, they need that help tremendously. So Justin Fields isn't running for his life every play,
Good pick.
even though he is very good at doing it.
Yeah.
They need offensive line help tremendously, and he's the
Yes.
best line player available.
Yep. I like that pick. It's a solid pick.
Yeah, for the same reason. There's no reason why your quarterback should be 1,200 yards because they have no offense, and it starts to me with the offensive line. It's super important.
Mhm.
I got Paris Johnson going here. I think Skronsky fits the system better, but I have him going to Vegas. So you just take the best tackle available. So I got Johnson going there.
Both of y'all's points make complete sense to me, and my pick is probably going to be wrong. So I understand completely. I like that. Solidify the inside out, right? And that's the winning organizations. If you look at anybody who's done anything in the last 10, 20 years, and I mean, even 50 years in football, they have a decent offensive line.
Yep. I will say a lot of people are still crapping on the Bears. I like their new GM.
I do too.
He's aggressive. And the addition of DJ Moore, I think people
Stud.
don't understand how great of a move that was for him.
It'll help out Cole Kmet. I think they just signed a running back as well. It'll help out that new running back. They need that offensive line though. Justin Fields, I don't think the story is completely unfolded yet for him. I don't know if he's going to be good or not. He's vegan, so I don't like vegan quarterbacks, but I want my quarterbacks and football players to eat a little bit of meat. But I also really like him a lot. Like I think has potential. But he can't be running for his life to both of y'all's points. Like, okay, and number 10, we got the Philadelphia Eagles. Who wants to go on this one?
I'll go first. So I'll preface this with my dad's an Eagles fan. And so I talk to him about the Eagles all the time. If a trade were to happen, I think this would be it. I don't have one marked. I don't like doing trades. You just never know who's in the market for it. But I do think Philly has nothing behind the third round. They go from like pick 90 to like pick 200 before they pick again.
Yeah.
And so I think if Tampa wants to go quarterback here and pick up someone like Richardson or Levis, I think Philly would happily take that pick. However, I do have the Eagles get Nolan Smith. If there's one thing Howie Roseman knows how to draft, it's offense and defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he plays he owes that method. Nolan Smith is.
That's scary putting him right beside Davis. Like that's that, and then on the other side of Riddick too, right?
Reddick, you got Brandon Graham, you got Fletcher Cox. It's already, I mean, offense or defensive line had 70 sacks last year.
Yep. Sorry, Sam Howell.
Yeah, I know.
Kyle's hating you for that pick right now. I'm just saying.
So actually, mine is very similar to that. I have the Bucks trading up with the Eagles to take Levis. If the Eagles do not trade, I have them taking Jalen Carter at this pick. So that would be another defensive line. But I think any one of these teams coming up could be in potential with this pick to
Yep.
trade. I agree with it. I mean, the Jets could trade up to take Levis. You got the Patriots. We don't know what Aaron Rodgers is gonna do. We don't know about Sam Howell.
So
People aren't sold him. Yeah.
are you staying with the Eagles or are you gonna go trade up with Tampa?
I'm staying with Tampa's going to do it, but I think it's any one of these teams can make a trade for this position.
So I'm putting you in
Coming
at
up,
Will
'cause a lot of
Levis,
them-
QB, trading to Tampa.
Yeah.
Interesting. I agree with both of you guys as well. I think Eagles trade back here. Looking at the draft today, my first mock draft, I had them trading with the Patriots, but then Randall made a good point. Belichick doesn't trade up for anybody. But I think Kyle's right. A quarterback could be coming in play here, especially if Richardson's still available and Levis is still available. But I have the Eagles staying for now on my mock draft and taking Bijan Robinson just because I know they have Gainwell, but they did lose Miles Sanders. They need a all-purpose 3-down back potentially. Have Gainwell still do his and Bart Scott do his touchdown, goal line runs, whatever. Imagine this offense: Jalen Hurts, Anthony or AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, Goddard, Bijan Robinson, and
all behind the
Jalen
best
Hurts.
all behind the best offensive
Yeah.
line in football.
All behind the best offensive line in football. What defense is stopping that? And their offense was already top 5, top
Right.
2, I
Yeah.
think, in the league last year. Bijan Robinson to the Eagles, wherever he goes, just makes sense. So I have him in at 10 here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just add real quick. I like the pick with Robinson. I just don't know if they go that way because they signed Rashad Penny. So I mean Penny's injury prone, so I understand getting back up just in case. But I just don't know if they go running back this early.
And they could have signed him as a failsafe as well.
Yep.
But because anybody can get cut on any different day, right? Like we've
Right.
known that. But that's a very fair point. Okay, so the Titans at 11. I have Paris Johnson. You guys have already had him off the board. Titans released Taylor Lewan. Please come to the Steelers, Taylor. You can make up with TJ Watt for spitting in his face. And Paris Johnson just makes sense for the Titans. Tannehill's still there. Malik Willis, new GM, wasn't that pick for him. So I could see them taking a quarterback here. I could see them going with the hometown hero and Hendon Hooker. Or a trade up in the late first round for Hendon Hooker.
Right.
But they need a tackle. They just released Ben Jones, I think it was as well. Another one of their, maybe not Ben Jones, but another one of their offensive linemen. So they're going tackle here. Best tackle on the board I have is Paris Johnson. Not in my opinion, but according to the big board, they take Paris Johnson here.
So I have Anthony Richardson going here. I think it's the most logical of the landing spots for him would be Tennessee. I don't know if this works. So like I said, I don't want to hate on Anthony Richardson. I just don't like his gameplay. And the fact that Florida did suck really bad last year. I'll take that into consideration. A lot of people are sold on his combine, and I'm not the type of person that looks at the combine as something that you should make your number one priority. I hope it works out for him. I never want him to but I think this makes sense for the Titans. And Richardson and Malik Willis sort of play the same, so they can probably grow together at the same time and develop the same way.
Right. So I have them looking for the replacement since they traded AJ Brown, taking who I think the best receiver is, and Jackson Smith, Najib. Because they need a wide receiver help.
Yep.
And
I like that pick, actually. I like both of those for both reasons. Jackson Smith and Jigmer Kyle, stud wide receiver. People forget because he was hurt last year.
And he was surrounded by Marvin Harrison Jr. and a bunch of others. He had Garrett Wilson the year before that.
Mhm.
on the team. Ohio State's stacked. They're
Ohio State might be wide receiver you because Kyle's
Yep.
favorite wide receiver in the NFL, according to top five controversial pick, Terry McLaurin, comes from there. And he plays, in my opinion, he plays just like him. Like
yeah,
he's
yeah,
solid on his route running. He's fast as can be. Like Jackson Smith and
yeah.
Jigma, good pick there. Okay, the Texans with the 12th pick here. Texans, this is why I took Will Anderson in at 2. Texans get their quarterback in Will Levis from Kentucky. Don't like Will Levis, but I think with Damian Pierce at their running back, they have a pretty good offensive line with Tunsil leading it. They have some good young receivers. They still need to build up on them, but there's plenty of receivers in this draft. I think you build on a running game, have him compete with Dougie Mills. I think Will Levis, maybe if he learns something, can play quarterback here.
I have Njigba going here. There's a trend in the NFL where teams will go out and grab a college quarterback and then also go and grab his number one receiver.
Good point.
Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith were kind of teammates for about half a season. He was best friends. I think he played like youth league ball with AJ Brown. They had chemistry there. You have Kyler Murray. They went out and got Hollywood Brown. It's just it's becoming a very prominent trend that a lot of GMs are noticing. And so you bring in Stroud at 2, you bring in Jigba with them. You already have chemistry. And in a division that is, I mean, Jacksonville is going to win it, but it's 2nd through 4th is super close right now. And I think with a new head coach, if they would give him time, I hate what they did with Lovie Smith. They gave him like a year and a half and then fired him. So if the Texans
always
would,
a bridge quarterback, bridge coach anyways.
yeah. If they will give D'Amico a chance and let him build his system, I think Houston with these 2 picks have building blocks to build around.
Yep.
I agree with that 100%. So I have the falling of Jalen Carter stopping here. I mean, he's just too good to pass up at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, he should have went earlier, but there's going to be controversial, and that might steer some teams away. That's just why I have him falling.
I'm gonna have to pray for Mac Jones if he goes to the Jets.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think both
Yeah.
of those can happen. Like I said, I don't think Jalen Carter's coming out of the top 10. Jackson Smith and Jigba makes sense if they take Stroud there. I agree with that as well. But I think with their first 12 picks, they have to pick a quarterback. Now, I also think next year's quarterback class is going to be pretty decent too. So do they wait one more year? I think they give D'Amico Ryans more than just 1 year. But we'll see on that. All right. With the 13th pick, the Jets are on the clock. The Jets need offensive line help. They have solid wide receiver core. They have an amazing young defense. They're going to have the GOAT with Aaron Rodgers there this year. So they are going to go ahead and take Broderick Jones. Sorry, did I cut out there?
Yeah, just a little bit
on me. Yeah.
Okay. So as I was doing my tirade for the Jets there, with the GOAT coming in, he needs a good left tackle. He's always had Takatari here, so we're gonna go with Broderick Jones out of Georgia tackle.
I agree with you. I don't know though if will this pick be part of the trade with Aaron Rodgers coming in? That's you don't think it will be?
No, second at best.
So if the Jets keep it, it's Broderick Jones. He's the best tackle available. They need a lot of help there. You got to protect Aaron Rodgers. And I don't even know who their tackles are. Is it Mekhi Becton? I think is one of them, and he's always hurt. He's always on the injured list. So
that's same pick for me. It's funny. All 3 of us have one.
This is the first time since the first pick that we've all picked the same person here. Okay, with that being said, folks at home, you guys won't see this, but we are going to take a little bit of a break here, and we'll be back on the other side. All right, and we're back, guys. Okay, so with the 14th pick, we have the Patriots on the clock. With the Patriots fan here in the building, we will let him go first here. Or do you want to go last? Whichever one you want.
I'll go first. That's fine. So I am 100% certain this pick is getting traded back. 100% certain. However, I don't like to do trades in my mock drafts. So I'm going to keep us here and we're going to go tackle Darnell Wright.
Mm-hmm.
I do think if we do trade back, it will be in the 20s. And if we do trade it back, I think it's going to be somewhere in the 20s. And I think we go tied in with Michael Mayer if the trade happens. But right now, I'm going to stick with Darnell Wright out of Tennessee.
Good pick.
Okay, I got the Patriots taking Lucas Van Ness. I know they like every time we've always played the Patriots, it always looks like they have a ton of pressure and they love playing pressure, especially Bill Belichick being a defensive minded coach. That's kind of my thought and theory behind the defensive type pick.
He likes his white guys too, so why not pick Lucas Van Ness? So so I can see him trading back to taking Darnell Wright. I can see him trading back to taking Lucas Van Ness. I don't have them trading back because in my draft right now, the way that it's fallen has a stud cornerback in Devon Witherspoon. And I think defensive guy, I think Bill Belichick likes it. Darnell Wright, I think it's a stretch at 14, but he has been flying up the mock drafts as well. I think he's a solid pick for a right tackle. I don't think he plays left. Lucas Van Ness, he does fit that mold. They both, honestly, both of your picks fit the Patriots mold for sure. But I have Devon Witherspoon. I don't think he falls past the Patriots. Either the Patriots take him here, they trade back to somebody who wants to take him here. Cool. Well, we will see here with Darnell Wright here. And you think Michael Mayer? I'm a Notre Dame fan, so I love that Michael Mayer pick with the Patriots. I don't want to see Bill Belichick get another tight end that's very good. So I really hope that doesn't happen. But I know you probably do. So
yeah.
Well,
okay. Anyone that's comped to Gronkowski, I want him on my team.
I've watched plenty. I watched the last 2 years of Michael Mayer. Nobody can cover him. He's a mixture of Gronk and Travis Kelce because I think he has more wiggle than Gronk. But that's very high praise as well. So we don't know if that'll happen. All right. The next on the clock, the Packers here. Now the Packers, of course, Aaron Rodgers is traded here. I have him gone. And what do? They get Jordan Love, an offensive weapon. So what does the offensive weapon look like, though? That's the question. In my offensive weapon, I have Jordan Love getting what do all rookie quarterbacks like? They like to have a little outlet, right? Best outlet on here, pass catcher outlet on here is Dalton Kincaid. I have Dalton Kincaid out of Utah, tight end.
So I'll go ahead and jump in. That's exactly who I have them taking to relieve pressure, off of the quarterback. Short goes.
They lost Rob Tunyon too, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I've had Green Bay penciled in as tight end since mock drafts have started.
Yeah.
I think this is the most obvious pick of the first round. I do have Kincaid as well.
No, I can see them going Michael Mayer, but I think they want a pass catching tight end because Jordan Love has some wiggle to him. They got two stud running backs. They're wide receivers. Maybe they develop, but I think Kincaid is solid pass catcher here, and I think he's the best pass catching tight end of the group, which is why I have them picking it here. All right, we're all in agreement here. All right. So the next pick here is the Washington Commanders. Now, with that being said, I have a very hot take on this as well, but we have a Commanders fan in the room here, so we'll let him go ahead and either start it off or finish it. Which one would you like?
I'll go ahead and start it. I haven't taken Christian Gonzalez here. They need defensive back help tremendously, and I have Porter still on the board. He's going next for me to Pittsburgh. I think you can take either one of them. There's no wrong pick. But I think it's going to be a defensive back position taken here. regardless who it is.
Yeah, if he's falling that
So
far,
I
they
do
better
agree.
take
I
him.
think corner should. Yeah, I think corner should be the pick. However, I think mine's a little bit more of a hot take with the Eagles getting the defensive line that they have. I think Washington needs some offensive line help to
They do.
protect, especially at the guard position. I've never seen anyone put this guy this high. I got Osiris Torrance out of Florida. I think they need a lot of interior help. Their running game's really good if they can get some line there. They got McLaurin. And I like Sam Howell. I live in North Carolina. I've seen him play. He my best friend
Stud.
actually is a high school ref and refed a few of his high school games. Sam Howell is a stud, and he just needs some protection. So
Stud.
yeah, Torrance out of Florida.
No, I agree with the
Cool.
pick. I can see it happening
Good.
very much.
I can see Gonzalez. I can see Osiris Torrance. But with the Commanders pick here, I actually have them trading back because of the fact. Look who they have to play, right? They have a rookie quarterback, Sam Howell. I think he's a stud, solid pick. They got a second-year running back in Brian Robinson. They don't have a tight end, Logan Thomas, whatever. They have a good receiving core. So they have the offensive weapons. They don't need offensive weapons here. Their defense, I'm with Kyle. I think your boy Young is a little bit of a BUST.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they could go there, but they also have top 3 interior defensive line right now, top 2, top 3. I mean, maybe number 1. Like I think they're solid there. They got Sweat on the outside, who's still a stud too. So and their needs aren't where this pick is. So I have them trading back, and you'll see why I have them trading back. Randall, you almost. But anyways, I have them trading back, and I have them trading with the Vikings. I had the Vikings trading up here. Vikings needed defensive help. And there's still one more edge rusher on the board that is an absolute stud, and that's Lucas Van Ness. And I have Lucas Van Ness going to the Minnesota Vikings via trade.
I can see it.
Here's dropping back. Now, Kyle, you have to wait until pick 23 for my pick for the Commanders, but I have my second trade of the day, and in this, and if I'm being honest, any pick from 10 outside of the Texans and Titans, any pick from 10 to 19, no, 10 to 18, I can see trading back. So it just depends on who needs tackles. Are they taking run on tackles? Are they taking run on wide receivers? Are quarterbacks still there? But I can see any of these teams trading back. I think the Commanders, new owner, they need to start it off right. I think they trade back, get some more picks, get some help for a young team that they have that has a good future. So, and my reasons on why they traded back and will be soon to come. Now, Steelers fan here, and I'm going to go ahead and we're going to pick a guy who's going to be stunting like his daddy in Pittsburgh. Hopefully they give him number 5 or something for number 55 with Joey Porter. And we're going Joey Porter Jr., Penn State. They cannot mess this up. I have seen a lot here that they have tackle Paris Johnson or Darnell Wright or Broderick Jones, which I'd be fine with all 3 of those, except Paris Johnson. I'd be fine with Darnell Wright and I'd be fine with Broderick Jones. But Joey Porter is just sitting there. It just makes too much sense. And I can see the Commanders taking Joey Porter, which really, really, really scares me. So Joey Porter's my pick for the Steelers. It just makes too much sense for me.
So that's exactly who I have the Steelers taking. Close to home. Father's a Steeler. He's sitting right there for them. They need defensive help. I don't think if he's sitting there, I don't think there's no way you don't take him.
Yeah. We're going to go 3 for 3 here. Like you said, there's no way in hell they mess this up. It makes that you just can't mess this up. Everyone in Pittsburgh will love you forever if you do this pick.
I'll be shouting the worst obscenities at my TV if they do not take this right now. Like Omar Khan's first draft, he's had some amazing signings. we just stole Allen Robinson from the Rams, I think.
Yeah.
With what we got today from it, with 2/3 of the salary being paid by the Rams and a swap of sevens. Okay. Worst, he's a cut. Best, he's a Pro Bowl wide receiver with our greatest of all time, George Pickens, and okay with Deontay Johnson. But I think Joey Porter Jr. is the pick here. And I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm really, really, really passionate about they don't mess this up. Like, don't mess this up. I will drive from Southwest Florida to Pittsburgh and kick you in the nuts. Like, come on, Omar Khan. Don't mess this up. Okay. The next we have the kneecap eating Lions. Detroit is on the clock. Just like you guys had above here, I believe you guys both had Witherspoon. I think they do need cornerback help. Deontay Banks, I have going from Maryland to them. They have their line. Let's go ahead and get a young corner out there. Corner class, I think, is actually pretty deep. I think you can get a couple corners and be fine. But Deontay Banks just fits right around this range. I can see a couple teams taking him. If Lucas Van Ness is gone, then I see them taking it. If Lucas Van Ness is still here, Lions will take him for sure and put him on the other side of Hutchinson. But I have Deontay Banks here out of Maryland.
Yeah. I got one more better than Lucas Van Ness. Let's put right beside Hutchinson. Let's put Kalijah Kancey. Dude broke all of Aaron Donald's combine records. He's from Pittsburgh, just like Donald is. If he plays to the level that Aaron Donald is, you get a massive pass rusher. I think he's wildly underrated. And this is a position that the Lions do need. You put Witherspoon at corner. You put Kancey in the interior of that line.
I like that. I like that a lot.
So I have the Lions going tight end with Michael Mayer here.
Ooh, got rid of Hutchinson last year.
Yeah. So they're going to look to give Goff some help on the inside. And Hutchinson or Mayer is a pretty decent blocker along the line as well. So I have them going Michael Mayer there.
Interesting. I could see both of those picks. Kancey makes sense. Mayer makes sense. I just think they need more help on defense. I really do, which you guys have covered on the back end with the first pick. So that would make sense, Kyle, if they do go tight end here. I could honestly see that happening too. I like that pick a lot, actually. And that would be Jared Goff's #1 target. I'd pick him up in fantasy in a late round very quickly. Okay, cool. Now we have 19 at the Bucks. Now this one, I've gone first 3 times in a row, so I'm not going to go first here. I'll let one of you guys go.
I'll go ahead and start this. This might be a hot take. This might be reaching a little bit with the Bucks, but I think the Bucks are in complete tank mode for Caleb Williams next year. And so I know a lot of people want them to get Levis if he falls this far. I think they prepare for Caleb Williams to come in by taking Jordan Addison, which is a USC receiver. And I just, that to me, that would make sense. I think out of all the quarterbacks left on the board, Williams and Drake May next year are 10 leaps further than anyone else you could pick here.
So I have 2 questions, Kyle, before you take your pick, because I think Jordan Addison is a very interesting pick here. Because they have Mike Evans, they have Chris Godwin. There's better wide receivers still on the board in Quentin Johnson. You're going to take Jordan Addison, who had a average pro day and average combine.
I understand that. Yes, I will. To me, it's just like I said earlier with the Njigba pick. It's just a lot of franchises are moving towards getting that guy that the quarterback's used to. I could be completely wrong here. I'm not really sold on Quentin Johnson. I think he's good. The Big 12, I mean, the Pac-12 is no different. They're just throw the ball down the field. There's really no defense. But yeah, I'll stick with Addison here, and I'll admit if I'm wrong if it's not a good. I don't like Addison, to be honest with you. I think
the Steelers screw up this draft is if they take Addison for Pickett, and I will be so pissed. Because I do not like Addison. I do not like Pickett. I think Pickett is a bust, but that's another topic. All right, Kyle. I didn't mean to interrupt you guys. Kyle, go ahead with your pick here. Good pick. I understand your reasoning. Very good pick.
So I have the Eagles trading back with the Bucks from earlier from 10 to 19. So the Eagles are up to pick for me. I am taking Brian Branch with the departure of, I forget their safety's name.
Gardner Johnson.
Yeah, I haven't taken
Oh
Brian.
yeah,
Branch
Eagles.
yet
Yep, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
which I think is a solid pick for them, especially at this position.
That would make too much sense, actually.
Yeah.
If they traded back here, because you have them taking Will Levis. If they're sold on Will Levis, have him sit behind Baker. I like Baker. I think he gets a bad rep, but have him sit behind Baker for a year. With Addison pick, with Baker at quarterback, you're right. If they're going to tank for Caleb Williams, is a great opportunity. With Baker at quarterback, though, best you can get, you get into the playoffs, you win your division because Baker can do it.
Yeah.
Worst, you get a top 5 pick. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you go in and you get that. So I like both of those picks actually. Brian Branch makes a lot of sense to the Eagles here if they trade back. I have Anton Harrison to go on the opposite side of their current tackle out of Oklahoma here. Offensive line help. They already have a pretty good offense. Running back is a question. Tight end is a question for them. But let's get a tackle. If they, for my reasons that I just said, if Baker turns out to be great, they have another tackle. They have a good quarterback. They have something. If not, you have another young tackle to pair with the opposite side. And I can't think of the kid's name from Iowa.
Wirfs, Tristan Wirfs.
Tristan
Yeah.
Wirfs. You have Wirfs and then Anton Harrison. You solidify your
That'd be-
outsides, and then you take Caleb Williams there. I think that makes a lot of sense as well. Okay, now next we have the Seahawks in Seahawks here. Kyle, why don't you go ahead and give us a Seahawks take here?
All right. So I have actually the Seahawks trading with the Giants.
Me too.
Do you?
Do we pick the same person, Kyle?
I don't know. Those would be a hot take. 'Cause
Yep.
I am taking I'm not completely sold on Quentin Johnson. So I am taking Zay Flowers here.
Ooh. Okay. Reasoning.
So I actually, I don't know how I had him falling this far. I have Lucas Van Ness going here. Probably should have probably been a top 15 guy. I'm not sold on Iowa players. Iowa was not good at all this year. I know the defense was. I'm not sold on it. I don't know if it'll translate to the pro game. Again, this is another pick I could be wrong on. I might be sleeping on Van Ness, but I'm not sold on him.
So you're not wrong. I think Van Ness can go anywhere from 10 to 25 here. It depends on how much you value him. He's an athletic stud, but his body of work isn't there because Iowa is a defensive powerhouse and tight end powerhouse that they don't play upperclassmen. And he's a 21-year-old redshirt sophomore, I think. So he's only played 1 year, a little bit of a sophomore year. I'm with Kyle here. I think Seahawks trade back. I think they got the quarterback that they want. I think they want more picks. I think they trade back to the Giants as well, but I go with a different wide receiver in Quentin Johnson. I like Quentin Johnson. He played all of last year hurt. The year before it was a stud. He's a big wide receiver. He can make cuts. He's not only a big wide receiver, he's very agile. I think Quentin Johnson goes here. I think Quentin Johnson is my number 2 wide receiver if I had to pick. I think Zay Flowers is tied with is 3rd wide receiver, tied with somebody else. That is a sneaky pick for me later on in the draft. But I have them taking a wide receiver because they need wide receiver help desperately. Galloway sucked. So I think Quentin Johnson is here as well. Okay, and the next pick we have is the Chargers here. Chargers with the 21st overall pick. I'll go ahead and knock this one out. Chargers, they have offensive weapons. They could go wide receiver here. Zay Flowers is what I'm seeing on a lot of boards here to replace Keenan Allen. But I think they go tight end, and I think they do Michael Mayer. They want to kind of replicate what they had with Antonio Gates. I think Michael Mayer is the perfect addition to this offense and makes Herbert that much better.
Mm-hmm. This is where I have Quentin Johnson going for the reason of replacing Keenan Allen. He's getting up there in age. Mike Williams is great, but add another
Yeah.
really good receiver on there. They do need tight end help. They can take Hunter Henry back if they want him. I do not want him. He's a cat pit that doesn't play half the time. But yeah, Quentin Johnson is I think in play. I think they go receiver. I think we actually get a run of receivers towards the end of this first round.
I think this starts the wave of receivers coming and tight ends.
Yeah.
So I have the Chargers going defense and Deontay Banks to help solidify the corner. They need corner help. They don't have a true wide receiver corner one.
Yeah, because Desmond King's getting old, isn't he? That makes sense too. If Deontay Banks is still there, I can see them taking that. I can see them taking Quentin Johnson as well. I think we're in agreement. It's going to be a skill position. Now, what I've seen is your boy from Clemson, Randall, Miles Murphy, could be there to kind of have a rotation with Mack and Bosa. So that might be interesting.
Yeah,
to kind of
that would be interesting. Yeah, that'd be an interesting pick. I don't know if I agree with that.
A lot of people have been saying it, to be honest. So I'd be shocked there as well. But okay, next is the Ratbirds, the Baltimore Ratbirds. We have 22nd overall pick. It looks like they are going to re-sign Lamar Jackson, especially with Odell Beckham getting traded there. Who do you guys got here? They have some needs here. Wide receiver, edge rusher, cornerback, offensive line.
So I'm going Nolan Smith here. I think he's too good to pass up on this position at this pick.
No, we don't want him there.
Oh boy. I think Deshaun's gonna need a lot of massages after that one.
That's jeez. That's a solid pick, and Nolan Smith does seem like a Ravens player. That's a yeah.
It would surprise me if he's there though. I agree.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know how I had this guy fall. They do need corner help, and for some reason I still have Christian Gonzalez available. And he would probably be the best player available on the board, so you just take him. Sometimes the picks you don't have to think too hard about them. You just take the best guy available. And like you said earlier when you had him picked, Oregon's defense wasn't the best on passing defense, so that is a question mark for me. But if he turns out the way everyone's seeing him being, that's a really good pick for the Ravens. I had receiver here until Beckham signed, and I just don't see them going receiver now that they have Beckham.
I had Zay Flowers here until Beckham signed, but now I have offensive line help. I have Darnell Wright, and it just makes sense for me. If you're going to pay Lamar Jackson, you're going to need an offensive line. Yeah. He's the best tackle available, and I think the only other tackle that comes off the board here in the first round. I think Darnell Wright, I think he falls here because he is a right tackle. But at this point in the game, you need a solid right tackle plus a solid left tackle with all the pass rushers coming in. Okay, cool. Now, here, Kyle, this is where I have your Commanders picking, but it is Vikings on the clock, so I'll go ahead and knock my pick out. I have the Commanders picking Osiris Torrance, guard out of Florida. I think they can trade back to get him. I don't want to say he's a stretch pick when you guys got him because I think he's good enough to go that high.
Yeah.
But I think this makes too much sense. You have your offensive weapons. You do need a tight end. You have a decent running back. We'll see how he does in the second year. You have a young quarterback. Let's get that guard help. So Vikings now. You guys are on the clock here with the Vikings. Oh, sorry, I froze there. Sorry, yeah, you guys are on the clock now with the Vikings.
So I got the Vikings going with defensive help. Brian Brees. Interior help. It's a big need for them. I don't see them going you could see wide receiver to give wide receiver to help, but I don't know if it's that much of a need at this with late round one for them. They
Yeah.
can probably get it's a deep wide receiver class. They can probably go in the second round.
Well, they also have that wide receiver that stepped up last year that was pretty good, and I can't think of his name. Even though they let go of Adam Thielen.
Yeah.
But okay, I can see Brees. That's a solid. Not where I would go, but
Yep.
position wise, yes, that makes sense for the Vikings.
I do have him going receiver. You don't need a wide receiver one here. You have Justin Jefferson. You don't need to go
Or wide receiver two.
right. So I think Zay Flowers would work really good in the slot. And you have Madison and Dalvin Cook, which I think Dalvin Cook's going to get traded. I'll be honest with you. I think he's a draft trade. I wouldn't be surprised if Philly ends up getting Dalvin Cook. He's
Maybe
been
Commanders get him.
Who knows? But yeah, I have Zay Flowers going here. I've seen a lot of people have him going Hendon Hooker, and personally, I'm not a big fan of Hendon Hooker going first round. I think he's a great quarterback, but I don't see him going first round. But
So Hendon Hooker would make complete sense here because what's the name can't get it done in playoff time, Kirk Cousins. And I think Hendon Hooker, a young Hendon Hooker with a young Justin Jefferson makes a lot of sense. But Zay Flowers makes sense. Brian Brees makes sense. I agree as well. I had them taking Lucas Van Ness, trading up, which now that I look about it, I don't know. But, we'll see. I think that their new defensive coordinator wants a solid defensive line. So I would go defensive line before they take wide receiver. But it is a need. It's kind of a coin flip at this point for them, I think. I can see all three, or even add in Hendon Hooker. I can see all four picks there. Okay, 24 at the Jags. Jags had a great season last year, turned it on towards the end. They're getting Calvin Ridley, so they don't need a wide receiver, in my opinion, because they have three now, plus Evan Ingram. I have them going safety Brian Branch out of Alabama. And he could play nickel or safety, so that's why I have him going here. I originally had Osiris Torrance, but I think he's going to go. He's going to be before this pick.
Yeah.
So I'm going for a defensive help as well. I'm going Miles Murphy though on the line to help create defensive pressure.
I got Deontay Banks. I think corner is one of the places they need some help. And I think we might get a run on some. All the good corners are now gone, but there are a few people that are projected second round that I could see going end of this first round.
I have one more cornerback that gets grouped up in that second group of corners. Yeah. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, no, I have one more, but that makes a lot of sense. I think we do get a run of. We just had a run of tackles. I think we just had a run of wide receivers, or kind of right in the mid there, and we're having a run of tight ends. This is where like best on the board kind of takes play. I think at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that being said, the next team that's on the clock here is going to be the Giants, except for me and Kyle, because the Seahawks are on here. So go ahead and pick your Giants pick there, Randall.
I have Brian Branch. Safety to me is the number one need. When you take into consideration need plus best on the board, Brian Branch to me is a no-brainer. I think he's really probably a top 10 player in this draft class. It's just the position. There's just no need in this year. So he's the only one that's grouped up as like tier 1 safeties. Everyone else are 4th, 5th round picks.
Yeah, that's a solid pick. I can see the Giants going there. They do need backside help. All right, Kyle, who do you have the Seattle Seahawks picking? Because that's where I have as well.
So I haven't taken Osiris Torrance. Yeah.
Guard out of Florida.
Yeah. I think they best guard available. I think they need interior help more than tackle help. So that's why I went with Torrance.
And that's for Seattle. I went a different way. Pete Carroll loves his defenders. I think this is where Kalaji Kancey goes into play. Get that solidify up that middle and then worry about the edge rushers. I think that'll help out Bobby Wagner extend his career a little bit more as well. So I have them taking the defensive tackle out of Pitt for Seattle here. Okay, next here, pretty self-explanatory. We have America's team. Now this is a hot
I don't know if
take,
I agree with
boys.
that.
Hot take, boys. Hot take, boys. I had the second running back in the first round coming off in Jahmyr Gibbs. I like Tony Pollard. I think he's the do-it-all back, but Jahmyr Gibbs gives you not only a running back, he gives you a kick returner, and he gives you a slot receiver if needed. I have Jahmyr Gibbs out of Alabama.
I too went running back. I went Robinson. The way I've seen Dallas run is at least the last few years since they've had Pollard. They had Pollard do a lot of the dirty work in the middle of the field, and then once they got into the red zone, Zeke pushed them into the end zone. I think Robinson can take that Zeke role. He could also be the number one back. He can do everything. I think probably a top 3 player in this draft class. And this is a Jerry Jones pick for me. You have a need at running back. I like Pollard. I just don't know if he could. We haven't seen him be able to do it by himself. So I think giving him that help with a committee of running backs would be beneficial for the team.
I can see that and agree with that. And a lot of teams do go to 2 running backs now, it seems. We see that on multiple teams. I have them going a little different route with Kalaji Kearse for defensive interior help. Allow them to keep the pressure with Parsons. We know how good Parsons was. So allow with that interior to help free up Parsons.
All right, here. Looks like we got 5 picks left. Guys, we'll take another quick break. People at home, you guys won't see it, and then we'll be right back. And back from that quick break, I know you guys didn't notice it at home, but we did take a little bit of a break there. We got 5 picks left, and then we'll go over some honorable mentions. We left off at 27 with the Bills. 27 with the Bills here. Disappointing season last year, I think. I am a Josh Allen fan. I think they messed up. I think they should have played Nyheim Hines a little bit more at the running back position. But their glaring need for me is at defensive back because they got a lot of injuries there last year. And there's one more cornerback that I think fits the bill for the first round. And I like him a lot, actually, is Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback out of Mississippi State. He's tall, he's lengthy. He's not as fast as some of the other ones, but when you're 6'4" or something like that, and that long, like longer than every single offensive tackle lengthwise in the draft, you take it. So
yeah, I'm gonna go actually right there with you. I have Emmanuel Forbes. Their defensive back grouping, Trey White's good. Poyer at safety is good. They just don't have anybody else there that is a star player. I'm happy Damar Hamlin's back and can play. That was good news we got today. But yeah, Emmanuel Forbes. I think they go corner. It's either between Forbes and Cam Smith out of South Carolina for me.
I can agree with that. I have Forbes going with this pick as well. So it's a clean sweep.
yeah, I really do like Forbes. If the Steelers want to trade back and get him, he reminds me of Ike Taylor. So I like him a lot. So, all right, cool. The Bengals are on the clock. The Bengals, well, I mean, Joey Burrow's him. So who you guys helping out Joey Burrow?
Well, a glaring need on that team is tight end. They lost Hayden Hurst to Carolina. You go best tight end available, which for me is Michael Mayer, which is scary to have Joe Burrow with Michael Mayer. I'll say this. They lost a lot at safety help too. They lost both of their starting safeties from last year. So that's also a position. I don't think Brian Burns falls this far. and I don't think you should reach on anyone else. But that if Branch, if Brian Branch is still available, that could be a pick for the Bengals.
So I have them taking a tight end as well. I
Yep.
have them taking the best tight end available on my board, which is Darnell Washington. A big tight end, pass catcher. I think he would work well in that system with Chase and Burrow. But I think they go tight end, best available.
I agree with both of y'all statements. I think they do go tight end as well. I do have Darnell Washington. I think this is an underrated pick because of his body of work in college isn't there because Bowers at Georgia is an absolute stud.
Yeah.
Like he is a dog.
He'll be a top 5 pick. He'll be a top 5 pick next year.
Yeah. Darnell Washington, 6'7". He can block, he can catch. You don't need him to get yards. You need him in the end zone.
You have an extra tackle there. You have an extra tackle in running plays.
So let's look at they got 3 good receivers. They got 2 good running backs in Samaje Perine and Joe Mixon. They don't need yards. So you get a 6'7" tight end in the end zone. It just makes too much sense for me, which I don't like because nobody on the Steelers defense can guard him. So, let's not do that. But I mean, it is going to be Darnell Washington. I can see Michael Mayer if he falls that far, but Michael Mayer, I feel like can be more to an offense. So I'd be surprised if they picked him, unless they're going to get rid of T. Higgins or Taj Boyd. So, which they could, and you can't pay everybody. So, cool here. Now, next is the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints, who knows what they are? One week they look great, one week they don't. I have them taking defensive tackle Mozzie Smith out of Michigan. I don't have Brian Brees here because I think Brian Brees falls out of the first round. So I think best available defensive tackle, help out that defensive line. Everybody in their division is going to be running. Let's get Mozzie Smith.
I also helped the defensive line. I went edge rusher Miles Murphy here. You can, even if he's a depth guy, I prefer him as a depth guy because he's a little inconsistent with energy given. There were a lot of plays at Clemson last year where he wasn't 100% effort, which is his only downfall for me. If he plays at 110% every play, he's a top 10 pick. I just don't know if he has the ability to play at 100% every play. And the Dennis Allen's a defensive guru there, so he'll fit in there some way somehow.
I can see that.
So I struggled with this pick, and then now I look at it and I'm like, why did I pick it? Because they took Olave last year, but I have written down Jordan Addison. Now that I think about it, it's not a sweet spot. It's not a pick for him. So I think they'll probably end up going on the D line, whoever's best available.
I don't think Addison's that bad of a pick though. I don't think Michael Thomas stays there long term. So Olave will become the number 1, and you can slide Addison.
Yeah.
I don't think Addison's a bad pick if you want to stick with that. I really don't. The Saints are notoriously famous for taking wide receivers before their time, before the current ones are up. So
yeah.
So do you want Mozzie Smith or do you want
we'll just do Jordan Addison.
I don't think that's a bad pick at all. Okay. Now the Eagles are back on the clock here. EAGLES Eagles. I'll go ahead and knock this one out as well. What better can help Bijan Robinson, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, best offensive line in football, Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, but by bringing in yet another receiver? I have Zay Flowers coming in here and just boosting that offense. We'll pin our ears back on defense with the edge rushers that we have here. Yeah, we lost a lot on the back end, so we better score a lot of points. Add another receiver. I have Zay Flowers out of Boston College here.
I like that pick. That's a consensus pick here that they're going receiver. I know the Eagles too much. They like their offense and defensive line. I'm going defensive line again. I'm going Brian Brzee here. I do see him potentially falling out of the first round, but I think the Eagles will take him here, put him next to Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis probably won't even start because they brought back Fletcher Cox. So they run a weird defense. Though they play like a 3-6 or something. It's weird. They rush a lot of linebackers. So we'll see how it'll go. But I think he stays with the defensive line. Howie Roseman loves that position.
Yeah, I struggled with this pick because I was like, I don't think there's anything the Eagles really do need because they're stacked everywhere.
Cornerback,
They're a
maybe?
good team. But I went defensive line. I went with the best one available on my board with Will McDonald. I think they do go defensive line. You know, it was good hearing that from an Eagles fan that was in the ballpark.
Will McDonald, that's an interesting pick because he's flying up the boards right now too, the edge rusher out of Iowa State. I don't like Iowa State players, so Brock Purdy is a stud, but I don't like Iowa State players. So we'll see where that goes. I can see them taking any of those. Only thing the Eagles really honestly need is safety help, and there's not a safety here right now.
Yeah, I could also see them trading this pick. If they stay at 10, I can see them trading 30. Just to get some depth in the draft.
Well, I can see them. Yeah, I can. If they trade 10 back, I can see them trading up if they want to go like almost back-to-back picks and pick up Brian Branch. I can see them doing that. All right, and then the final pick, since it's only 31 picks in this draft because Miami Dolphins did a no-no. We have the Chiefs, defending Super Bowl champions. Chiefs. I will go last on this one because I have a hot take. Shocker.
Okay, I'll start it off. I have the Chiefs going wide receiver with what some people consider the best wide receiver, but I'm not completely sold on him in Quentin Johnson, falling all the way to the 31st for them.
That's a really good pick for them if that ends up happening.
That'd be a very
I have them going defensive line. I got one that I've seen some put them in the first round. I see a lot of them put them in the second. It's Keon White out of Georgia Tech. I think a lot of people, when they think Georgia Tech, they think the triple option. They've gone away from it. They're a lot better team. They're on the rebound in the ACC. And Keon White is an athlete. He's probably the best player on that defense. And I think the Chiefs could use some pressure, some more pressure on the Chiefs. Don't really need anything. Andy Reid's a great coach. So I think they go something that they could see developing down the line. And Keon White's a good pick here.
Okay. So question for you guys. Andy Reid, top 5 offensive mind ever? Top 3 offensive mind ever?
Yeah, I'd put him top 3.
Yeah.
If you had to pick his profile of wide receiver, what would it be? Speedy, tall, lengthy? What would it be? I'd say speedy.
Yeah, speedy quick guys, yeah.
Who ran a fast offense in college football last year? And I'll go ahead and answer it for you. University of Tennessee. Who is University of Tennessee?
Jalen Hyatt.
Number 1 wide receiver. Jalen Hyatt.
That's a good pick.
His comparison for me, it's a mixture of Tyreek Hill, of didn't they have Pringle at one point, and then McCole Hardman, like he just kind of fits that mold, and the Chiefs don't have that receiver right now. So I think Jalen Hyatt, and I think that makes a lot of sense with all the speed that the Kansas City Chiefs have. So that's where we are there. And then I'm just going to throw in an extra one because the Steelers are the 32nd pick. A lot of people would want me to take Jordan Addison here first in the second round. I'm not going to. I'm actually going to potentially, and this is me just thinking off the top of my head, so I haven't really done any research on it. I'm going to go with Jack Campbell out of Iowa. and I really would not mind seeing that at middle linebacker help. I could also go Brian Brees, a defensive line out of Clemson. I'd be fine with either one of those 2 picks.
I also
But
think like Porter, you need to go Porter, but you also need tackle. Dewan Jones out of Ohio State. I think he's better than Paris Johnson, to be honest. And he's big. He's like 6'7", like 390. And he's been rising up the board too. So if you want to go tackle, you can wait to 32
yeah.
and get him there.
All right. Well, that's the end of our first round draft. Anybody that you want to give honorable mentions to? We'll go ahead start with you, Kyle. What you got? Any honorable mentions that could potentially come up in the first round, or who you think is a very undervalued pick that could be in the later round?
I think with the Eagles trading back with the Bucks to 19 and getting Brian Branch is a very value pick for them. I think if they're able to do that, even into the 20s and get Brian Branch, trading back from that 10 is a solid pick for them.
Yep.
Randall, you have any honorable mentions or potential first round people that we didn't mention in today's draft?
I have two big guys that I want people to remember their names. First off is running back Deuce Vaughn out of Kansas State. I've seen mock draft. I read, I think it was CBS's 7-round mock draft. Didn't even have him listed, which is insane to me. He's a 5th-round pick, but he was the leading rusher in college football this year. Insane. Mo Ibrahim as well.
Darren Sproles Jr.
Yeah, right. And then another one I think could be a 1st-round pick is he's on the defensive line. I can't remember if he's interior or edge. I'm probably going to mispronounce his name. Adetomiwa out of DeBoer, I want to say TCU. It's one of the purple and black.
Kansas State.
Kansas State, yeah. So Kansas State players.
Yep.
He is a monster. I saw him during his Senior Bowl practice. He would just tear through guys we mentioned as going like top 10, like Paris Johnson and stuff like that. He was eating them up. So he's a guy that I think I've seen a lot of people. And then finally, just linebacker Henry To'oTo'o. Whoever gets him, he's going to be a day 3, probably end of day 2 pick. He's a beast. He dominated at Tennessee, dominated at Alabama. So.
Yeah, I mean, college is a very different game than NFL, and I'm more of a college expert. I would say. So college talent doesn't necessarily translate to NFL. I think Mo Ibrahim is a stud running back. I think Cedric Tillman, the number 2 for Tennessee, I think he's going to be a steal in the 2nd or 3rd day. I think Laporta from Iowa, the tight end U. I really do believe that I can go on all day about how bad Iowa's offensive coordinator is. Miles Murphy, I think, is a stud. Josh Downs, I think, is a sneaky guy to think, wide receiver from UNC, to potentially go up into the 1st round here if there is a run on wide receivers. And then a couple quarterbacks as well. Hendon Hooker, I think, if he didn't get hurt, I think we're talking him as CJ Stroud, Hendon Hooker, Bryce Young. Even though he's 25, he was running an NFL offense. He's the only one running an NFL offense with reads and everything. I can see him getting a trade into the 1st round to be taken. Hayner, Jake Hayner out of Fresno State. He doesn't get hurt. He's a day 2 prospect, I think. Tanner McKee, he plays anywhere but Stanford. He's maybe day 2 or late day 1. So I think there's plenty of them out there still left as well. Well, that's it for today. Guys, I really do appreciate you guys sitting in here for the last hour and a half recording. Won't be an hour and a half show, but we do have it here. For those of you new to the channel, we will be starting in early August. My normal co-host, Andrew Cooper, and I will be doing about 5 weeks out to the week 0. We'll be doing a Power 5 conference by conference preview. Probably starting with the Pac-12 because that's probably our least favorite, and then going for it there, but to be determined there. Guys, you guys are more than welcome anytime you guys want to guest host on our picks on our normal show. If you guys haven't watched, feel free to watch, like, share, comment, be a friend, tell a friend. If you didn't like it, don't comment, don't like it, don't do anything. Just don't watch it. Don't mention it. But that's it here. Donovan Faloney here, First and Faloney. Wonderful logo here in the back, and we appreciate you. See you in August.